I was casually browsing YouTube just now and stumbled upon a really lovely short film called Skaterdater from 1965, and the fact that it said the first skateboarding movie in the title really drew my attention and just made me want to check it out. I was going to check out just a couple minutes of it, and then I ended up watching the whole thing because it's really not that long. It's only 15 or 16, 17 minutes, and I loved how there was no dialogue in it, and I love that you could see, right off the bat, you could see how far skateboarding has come. I mean, these fucking things that they're riding in the movie that these young kids are riding, they're like surfboards on these wheels. They're made out of God knows what, and they're skating without shoes because there's no grip tape on them shits. It's wild. How different the skateboarding was, and it's just them basically carving and doing. I love how the first half of the movie though is they show a lot of there was still tricks at the time. That was what was really interesting. They did like a hippie jump and did like a coffin at one point and certain things like that we see, carving basic things, and even a handstand at one point, headstand or whatever the hell, and. They obviously introduce somewhat of a love story, and then it turns into this kid that's interested in this girl and spending time with her, and then gets kind of shamed by his gang, and they kind of ostracize him because of that, because it's just like the classic you're hanging out with girls, they're young kids, so they're still at that age of shaming each other. You like girls, you're wussy, kind of that was the attitude of what. That's that attitude when you're that age or whatever, and it was such a simple setup for a story, but it actually in the simplicity of it actually says so much and did a lot with zero dialogue. I'm shocked at how I kept thinking someone was going to say something at one point or there would be something spoken, but it's just silence throughout the entire, just no one says anything throughout the entire film. And the themes that I thought were really lovely in it were the how much having not even having a crush on somebody, but having a love interest or someone that you're into in that way kind of affects what you do with your hobbies or what not. Especially at that age when you're a teenager, it's just being into girls at that age was a single reason I stopped playing video games or stopped being into skateboarding myself. So it's super relatable as far as spoiler alert. By the end of the movie, the kid ends up doing a downhill. Some sort of downhill thing against the leader of this group or whatever after they ostracize him, and I guess it's some sort of initiation to get back in the gang, and the leader ends up pushing him off the board or winning it's not a death race, but it's I don't know what the hell it was, to be honest. I've never seen anything like it, but he basically they're just both carving down this hill. He pushes him down, then it's just you're not in the gang, and then they all just give him a mean look and shame him. The girl ends up coming to console him, and then it cuts to them holding hands and walking down the street as he looks at all of them skateboarding by. And it was a weird thing of damn, by the end it's all of a sudden he's just not a skater anymore, and he's just a different person now suddenly because of someone else being in his life. And that simple, the ending having that sort of him moving from one place to another still within that short of a time frame, and even though it's just something as simple as him quitting skateboarding or not skating anymore, it just at the very least not being a part of that gang, they he goes into that next stage of his life, and then that's all the resolution we need, and it was very easy. All those things, all the things that I was saying in the last minute or so just now, all of that was said with no dialogue and no nothing more than just kind of showing these different little scenes and these different it's also a very lovely thing to see non-actors in movies or any sort of short films like this or random these very like obscure movies that you wouldn't find outside of YouTube probably, or maybe renting from like a small owned video store back in the day or something. But seeing all these kids, none of them are actors. You don't recognize a single person in the movie, and it's cool how these types of movies, especially since there's no dialogue and they can just kind of show like images and tell the story in that way a lot, just by like showing what's happening. It's interesting to see non-actors acting in those types of movies where it feels very documentary-esque almost, or it doesn't feel like a movie, because they're just not. They don't have to. They don't have to do anything other than play themselves, which just makes it more natural and all that stuff. So yeah, the movie has a lot of interesting things going on in it, and I'm glad I just that it popped up for me. And if you're into skateboarding movies or just like these little obscure short films, you might be into something like that. But I'm glad I found that, and I wanted to kind of shine a light on these random movies, because I doubt anybody would, the unknown parts of YouTube only make me want to, or just unknown movies, especially unknown and very rare, like things that are not popular. They're always interesting to talk about. See if anybody. I'm just curious to see if anybody else has even seen that, or if it's popping up in anybody else's feed or whatever. So. Yeah, if you haven't seen that, it's definitely worth checking out, just because of how lovely and simple it was and how independently made it feels.